So it's Monday in February in Arkansas. And aren't you glad that you didn't plant any of them seeds yesterday? So we were going to plant it on that side, but we dug down, there was way too much water there, so we moved everything over and we're going to plant it right there. See how that works out.
What are you doing?
I'll probably have to find some more dirt. This is a very pink hydrangea. And it's from Better Homes and Gardens.
Why do we have that?
Because it's Valentine's Day.
Oh, it was a present to me?
Yep.
Well, thank you.
I'm gonna have to get some different dirt because that's just too wet to pack around.
Okay. Oh yeah, that dirt looks a lot better. That's a really pretty color.
Well, we've got one now on each side of the house, so we'll see which one does better. I've always heard the north side. But
Well, this stays so shaded.
exactly, I don't think it's gonna matter much.
It'll get some morning sun like it is right now. But then it gets all shade after about 1 o'clock.
I'm more concerned with the time of the year because hydrangeas don't bloom in February.
No, it was forced bloom.
So there was some shenanigans went on. That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying
it
to
was a
say.
greenhouse, I'm sure.
So, you know, we don't know. This was what they call that GMO. Is it GMO? MMO?
Oh,
This was genetically probably made in a lab That's what I'm trying to say. So if it don't survive, we don't know if it's where we planted it, how we planted it, or if it was never supposed to survive in the first place. It was just there to sell in February to make some money. You know what I'm saying? You got me?
It'll survive. All those blooms and leaves will probably fall off because they're calling for a 29-degree night.
Well, it was just
But
snowed Monday.
It won't kill the roots.
Yeah,
So
it just snowed like 3 days ago, and today it's 70 degrees. So,
what's that green plant coming up right there?
what you talking about?
Right here, all these little green leaves coming up out of the
I
ground.
don't know, probably ragweed.
No, I bet if you picked a leaf and
Some kind of mint.
it's a lemon balm.
Some kind of mint.
All them dead branches got to come off.
Yep, dead branches, but it also needs to dry out more
Yes, it does.
because it is a muddy mess.
Yes, it is. I'm kind of done for the day.
Yep.
Okay. All right. We have our tomatoes out here. We don't have a huge garden, so space is limited. We have a
Which is
lot
fine because we don't. I personally do not want to maintain and take care of a huge garden.
I have a lot of varieties that are reliable. We've done them before, and I always want to try new ones. Always going to try new tomatoes. We had wilt problems in the past, and we've had blight problems in the past. If you live in a southern state with a lot of humidity, you're going to have disease issues. When you're limited on space, you can't rotate your crops like you're supposed to, so you're going to have disease issues. So we have to pick varieties. We love Cherokee Purple, but we can't grow it. The plant will die before it ever gets a tomato on it. So this is what we're going to do. This is a semi-determinate. And when I say semi-determinate, you have determinate varieties that the plant stays shorter. They normally put on a bunch of tomatoes at one time, and the plant's kind of done. You could pull them out and replant something else. Indeterminate, those plants, I've had them get 13 feet high. They produce tomatoes all season and up until frost. But you have to have support. They take a lot of space up, and you don't normally get a big crop at one time. This is called Perrin from Baker Creek. It's an heirloom tomato. It's a semi-determinate. In good soil, it'll get about 7.5, 8 feet tall. I've put it in containers, and it stayed around 5.5 feet. This thing, the tomatoes are a red baseball, a little bigger than a baseball sized tomato, up to a softball size. Excellent acidic tomato, fresh tomato taste. They can well, as far as they peel good. They're not real juicy. They're good for slicing, canning, anything you want to do with them. And they withstand everything. They withstand disease. They withstand droughts, colder weather, hot weather. They just keep going. We'll always have, as long as we can get that seed, we will have that tomato. And you can save the seeds, and they'll come back as parents. Okay. These are two of the indeterminates, which when I say that, remember, they can get, really tall. We'll grow these on arched cattle panels. And these are our purple tomatoes.
Real tomatoes.
We try to get close to a Cherokee Purple, and so far we haven't had much luck. We've tried other varieties and weren't happy with them. So we're going to try a couple of, I've done black creme before, but it's been years. It's not really, it's a deep red, almost burgundy black. Supposed to have an excellent taste. I can't remember. It must not have done well for me, or I'd have grown it again. In disease resistance, it has some. We'll see if it can handle. The first thing to get mine is going to be wilt. We'll see. We'll see how black creme stands up to that. This one here, these tomatoes are from, let's see, Totally Tomatoes. This is where these come from. This one here is called a Medusa. It's a purple tomato, and it's probably That's probably the most I've ever spent on 10 seeds, 10 tomato seeds in my life. But it's supposed to be a tasty tomato. It's a hybrid from Cherokee Purple and I can't remember the other one. Dark Galaxy, maybe. I can't remember, but they took it's part Cherokee Purple, so let's hope it tastes like Cherokee Purple for Jay. Again, it's
I'd rather
indeterminate.
since it's part Cherokee, we're hoping that that's in the taste and not in the look. We don't want it to look like the Cherokee Purple. We just want it to taste like the Cherokee Purple.
This is another totally tomato that we're trying, and it's new. Now, these are ones we picked. They're new, but we picked them for their disease resistance mostly. This is supposed to have excellent disease resistance. It is a yellow-orange tomato with a red base, a red blush that runs up through it, and they say it's great tasting. I'm excited to try that. It's indeterminate. Space on the cattle panels is really, really, there's just not a lot there. We can put about 4 tomatoes on the cattle panels. So we got 3 right there. These are Romas, are plum-shaped tomatoes. This is a new one I've not ever done. It's called La Roma 3. These are tomato growers where I normally get my disease-resistant tomato seeds. These letters, each of those stands for something it's resistant to, like certain wilts and funguses and things like that. I've never grown that one. It's La Roma. It had really great reviews. Good for canning or eating. Canning is my main thing with tomatoes like this.
Especially Roma, yeah. Because
Yeah.
they're a meatier tomato.
Yeah, and we want to have enough tomatoes canned up when the garden ends to make it through to the next season and not have to buy any tomatoes. And right now we have done great. We still have a lot of canned tomatoes to use before the season. We grew these 2 last year, the Yaki and the Plum Regal. The Yaki right here, let me tell you, I have never had a plant with so many tomatoes. I had each limb, not just the plant, having to be tied up. Every limb on that thing had to be tied up in multiple spots because the load of tomatoes on there was so much, it was just bowing them down to the ground. And it was all summer. As soon as they started making tomatoes, they did not stop till frost. And Plum Regal was a close second to Yaki on production. These tomatoes were about like that in containers. If you had them in the ground, I'm sure they'd be even better. Okay, these are our determinants that can be canned, fresh eaten. We like to take a tomato, just cut it up, salt it, eat it on a plate. BHN 589. This is one we've done 5 or 6 years in a row now. It gets about 4.5 feet tall. Produces tomatoes a bunch at one time, but it continues to produce tomatoes throughout the year. It holds up against everything, wilt, funguses, all of it. It does fine. We'll grow it as long as we can get it. These 2 are new. I've never grown them. There's Fantastico hybrid and Mountain Merit. I went with Fantastico because it is a 50-day tomato. You have early season tomatoes, mid-season tomatoes, and late season tomatoes. You don't want to plant all your tomatoes to come on at one time, unless you're canning. When you want a tomato by the 4th of July, or I want a tomato by the 4th of July, and then I want to keep getting tomatoes throughout the summer. So I try to find at least one early tomato, and that's the Fantastico. It's an all-American winter. It's a patio top, so it can go in a container. If you don't have a garden, you can grow it in a pot. Delicious, sweet, crack-resistant fruit. You can put it in a hanging basket. They're easy to pick with high yield. Look for high yield if you're looking to can. Up to 12 pounds off one plant. But the plant isn't very tall. It's only 12 to 15 inches. The fruit are not huge though. The fruit are only half an ounce. But if you're looking at 12 pounds on a plant, that's one you want to get. The other one new this year that we're trying is called Mountain Merit. Had a lot of good reviews. It's a 75-day, so it's towards little past mid-season. It's determinate. Tomato growers is where I got these. Resistant to early blight, late blight, wilt virus, it's got a good disease package. Deep red, 8 to 12 ounce fruit. So these are, good sized fruit. Supposed to be really great flavor, great for slicing, sandwiches, as well as canning. The harvest time, this will put on tomatoes for 4 to 5 weeks. Then we'll probably pull that plant out and I can start some more of this, or I could start these little 50-dayers and rip this one out and put a new one in and have time to go ahead and harvest again. But that's what we're growing this year as far as tomatoes go.
And you may have already told them, but tell them the process of, once we let's go over the process of opening this package.
And starting them?
Yep, and starting them until we put them in the ground. Tell them what we're going to do.
I use seed starting mix. Some people make their own. I just buy bagged seed starting mix. Your plants have more. Okay, let me show you how tiny these seeds are. And they got to push up through the soil. So if you're just using potting soil and topsoil, those got chunks in them. See how little that seed is? They only got so much energy to get up through the dirt. So if you're using potting soil and it's got chunks of wood in there, it's not going to do as well. So we use seed starting mix. It's fine, like flour almost. They have an easy time rooting in it and they have an easy time coming through it. No nutrition, but that's later. Anyway, I got little cups that they can stay in for a while. In the bottom half, I put potting soil with a tiny bit of fertilizer, just a tiny bit at the very bottom. Then the top couple of inches, I put seed starting mix. And I water that down real good. And then I take 2 seeds, knowing I'm going to pull one of them seeds out probably and discard it. I put 2 seeds in there, kind of tap them down and sprinkle a 1/4 inch of seed starting mix on top of that. And I water that in real good. And I cover them up. I usually put them in a tray and I put a lid over that whole thing, a clear dome lid, or I put saran wrap over it. They don't need any light. And I set them over there and I water them. I keep the soil moist, not dripping, not soggy, just moist. Usually once a day is what I water them. And it can take up to, 2-3 weeks depending on how warm you have them. They're not going to sprout if you got them outside, if the temperature's cold. They need that temperature to be up at, high 60s, 70s to sprout good. You don't want your tomatoes to ever get below 60 degrees because it can stunt them. So you want to keep them warm. They'll sprout. And as soon as they sprout, take the plastic cover off, get your grow lights out. I use shop lights, LED shop lights. And get those, if you're using LED shop lights, they're not hot. Put that as close to the seedling as you can get it so that the seedling isn't stretching and getting leggy. Turn a fan on to oscillate. Makes their stems stronger, like they're in the wind outside. If you don't make their stems stronger, it'll be skinny little stem. When you put them outside, the first wind's going to flop them to the ground, and that's where they're going to stay, and they'll rot. So you want a fan on, too. They have some energy in that seed, kind of like a chicken has an egg yolk that the baby lives off of for a little bit. The seed has stuff in it that seedling will live off of. But after they get their first little leaves that come out when they sprout, they're going to get their first true set of leaves. And when they do that, they're going to be looking for food. They're going to be hungry then. So that's why I put just the tiniest bit of fertilizer in the bottom of that cup, or I make fish emulsion watered down with water, and I water them with that so they get nutrition. Seed starting mix, like I said, it hasn't got any. So if you put them in straight seed starting mix, then you're going to have to pot them up into pot and soil. That's a whole other thing. After these plants outgrow their space, if there's 2 plants in there, I can separate them gently, or I can pinch that extra one off and throw it away. That's a way to, if both seeds sprouted. And we'll pot them up and keep potting them up. We don't want them to get root bound until time to put them out in the garden. And you'll keep the lights as close to them as you can. If you're using regular grow lights, it's different issues. They put on heat. You don't want to burn your plants. But I use LED shop lights. They're like $17 at the big box store. And they, like I said, they don't get hot. They're not going to burn your plant. But you got to keep it right on them. We'll show you. Jay will show you.
As the plant gets taller under the lights, you can like add books or whatever you need to
Prop 'em
raise
up.
to prop your light up a little bit higher, until your plant gets some good length and growth on it, and that's when it's time to move them outside.
Yeah, your nighttime temperatures outside need preferably they need to be about 60 degrees at night. I have put them out when they're in the 50s, but it can stun them. It can make your plants take longer to grow and fruit. Peppers especially. Peppers and eggplants love heat. I won't put them into the garden until the nights are 60. Till they're at least 60 at night. If you put your plants out there and it's below 50 degrees, you better cover them up with something.
Right.
We use sheets. What I do is I save those big nursery buckets and I put over each plant, and then you can lay a sheet over that too to keep them warmer. But if you can wait till the nighttime temps are in the 60s, they'll just do so much better for you.
Absolutely. It's a lot like the heating, I want to say heating pads, but it's not a heating pad. A lot of people will put the plastic heat mats.
Grow mats.
Grow mats. A lot of people put the grow mats underneath the pepper plants and things like that.
And we probably will.
Tomatoes, and we probably will. But you don't necessarily have to have those. It just depends on how fast you want to get them out the door. If you want to get,
well, they'll sprout faster.
they'll sprout faster as long as, like you were saying, the temperatures. They'll sprout faster indoors with warm mats and things like that than they will outside where it's just almost 60 degrees outside at night.
Peppers are notorious for, the hotter the pepper, the longer it takes to sprout. Bell peppers, those shishitos, that within a week, a lot of times you're going to see them sprout. I put them on a grow mat. That's peppers, eggplant. That's all I put on a grow mat because they like the extra heat. We keep the house about 68 this time of year. That's warm enough for everything else to start. Grow mats, you got to be careful not to let your soil is warmer and it can dry out faster.
Yeah,
so you got to make sure you're keeping it moist. That's what kills a seedling. That's what prevents a seed from sprouting and can kill it as soon as it starts popping out of that seed. If that soil gets dry, it's goners. You might as well start over. If you come in and your soil is dry and that seedling is all withered down, you really might as well just start over because they're going to be weak from then on. Same with the legginess. If you don't have lights, you can't put seedlings in a window, an eastern window of your house, and expect them to be a healthy plant. You got to have them. If you have a sunroom on the southern side of your house, sure, go ahead. But really, you better put a grow light on them at night too, because if they start getting leggy, say it's cabbage. If you got a leggy cabbage, it ain't never gonna grow right. you might as well throw it away and start over. So to give them the best chance of having the healthiest plant, keep your soil moist, have them warm. Don't let them get down below 60, and put a fan on them. Lots of light. Lots of light. Those grow lights are cheap. If you normally buy your plants at a nursery, you can get a pack of seeds and a grow light and everything you need, and it paid itself back within a couple of seasons, because the price that you pay at nurseries is really high. A pack of seeds, I don't remember what I paid for the pairing. It says there's 25 seeds in there. Your seed packet will tell you. It's also going to tell you if it's a determinate or an indeterminate. It says 25 seeds, but there was probably 60 something seeds in there. I'm only going to grow 2 of these. That's going to last me a long, long time. And pay itself back. So just try to do it right so you're not wasting your money or your time and getting discouraged. Light, heat, and air. You have to have those to get healthy plants.
Absolutely. And I always think of the air, the fan on the small ones like this. I think of it as a person, living thing, whatever. The fan is just building muscle in the stem. It's just you get the little the young plant to start building muscle, and that way when you put it outside, it is strong enough to stand up to a stiff breeze or a high wind.
Tomatoes, when you pot them up, when they've outgrown their little container and they need a bigger container, you can pinch off their lower leaves off the stem and they'll root. You can, to make a better, stronger stem, you can bury that plant this much of the stem if you wanted to, and just leave a few leaves out at the top. That'll all root and the stem will just get bigger and fatter, which is what you want. That's what keeps your plant healthy. It keeps it able to stand a storm.
And that's how we do it. I'm sure y'all probably have different ways of doing it, but this is what has worked for us, and this is how we're going to do our tomatoes, and we just wanted to share that with y'all.
And we'll keep showing you stuff.
Absolutely. We're just getting started. Thanks for stopping by.